Hello, everybody. Craig DeLuz here with the Firearms Policy Coalition on this Giving Tuesday, where Facebook has committed to match donations made via Facebook to nonprofit organizations like the California Gun Rights Foundation. So I wanted to talk with you right now about a case that's vitally important to many law-abiding adults under the age of 21 who've in essence had their civil rights taken away. Okay, maybe it's not exactly that simple, but hey, I'm not a lawyer, and I did not sleep at Holiday Inn Express last night. So what I did was I invited one of our attorneys, Mr. John Dillon, to the program to tell you guys about this case, Jones v. Becerra. John, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
Excellent. So, all right, tell us exactly what is this case? And why is it such a bad case?
Yeah, to be honest, you may not have stayed in at a Holiday Inn Express, but your description was pretty accurate with this case. In California, if you're over 18, so you're a legal adult who can marry, contract, enter into the military, live on your own, do your own thing, you have all the 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment rights afforded to you. In California, they have taken away your right to purchase, transfer, acquire, and possess, in some instances, any firearm. It's not a restriction where they're only restricting handguns or certain rifles or certain shotguns. You are prevented from purchasing or acquiring any firearm, whether it's pistol, rifle, or shotgun in California. And that prohibition applies until you're 21. So it doesn't matter if you live on your own, you have your own place, you have your own job, and you want to buy a shotgun to defend yourself because you live in a bad neighborhood. Under California's law, you cannot do so. And so it is truly a way of stripping rights, and they think they can.
So now, okay, once again, not being an attorney, let me just be clear. So you're considered both criminally and civilly an adult at the age of 18, right?
Yeah.
That means if you sign a contract, you're the one that's responsible for it, right?
It's a binding contract on an adult. Yeah.
Wow,
if you
okay.
commit murder, you're tried as an adult, you're sentenced as an adult. If you enter into the military, you can do so without parental consent. But in California's eyes, it does not matter. You are not an adult when it comes to acquiring firearms. It's just backwards thinking is really what it is.
So now I'm assuming that they have to have some sort of a logical kind of conclusion or reasoning or rationale as to why this is okay?
Well, it's a little bit confusing. They try to claim that this is a training requirement or a safety requirement, or the fact that 18 to 21-year-olds or 20-year-olds, we have other restrictions on these in this age group, like smoking and drinking, and so because we have those restrictions, then we can also put these restrictions on firearms. But there's a big difference between vices such as alcohol or cigarettes and a fundamental right that's enshrined in our Constitution. So it's pretty difficult to find a rational explanation for it. There's no exceptions in the law for people that even show responsibility. So it's not about responsibility. There are so-called exemptions in the law, but 4 out of 5 of them would require you to enter into a career or change careers that would be highly dangerous or could possibly result in your death, which would be if you enter into the military, you enter into law enforcement, federal law enforcement, or you are honorably retired. However, those exemptions, aside from having to start a new career in order to buy a gun and potentially get hurt or even die in that job, most law enforcement agencies don't even allow individuals to apply until they're 20 years old. Many don't allow you to become a patrolling officer until you're 21. So it's an illusory exemption to the law, and it doesn't apply to someone who's 18 and wants to buy a firearm. Same, with the military. There's all sorts of, boot camp and training requirements you have to go through. However, and what we've recently done in this case is we had to refile the complaint and our preliminary injunction just a couple weeks ago because 10 months into this law being effective, it started this January 1st of this year. they've already changed the law and made it more restrictive. And that way, even if you do get a hunting license, which is one of the other exemptions, even if you do get a hunting license, you pay the fees, you take the classes, take the course, pass the test, go and purchase a hunting license, you're still now prevented from buying any semi-automatic centerfire rifle. And that restriction also applies to honorably retired military. So let's say you join the military when you're 18, you get shipped overseas, you get injured, you honorably retire, 19, 20 years old. You're not going to be, once you retire, you're not going to be allowed to buy a semi-automatic rifle. And for those of you who are getting things a little bit confused on that, we're not talking about the scary assault weapons here. This is all semi-automatic centerfire rifles. And the legislature claims that these are rarely ever used for hunting, so the hunting exemption shouldn't apply. They are absolutely dead silent on why, when you're active military, you're exempt, but after being honorably retired from the military, you're not exempt. And that's a good indicator to show that it has nothing to do with training, because an active and retired, they have the same training. Exactly. So it has nothing to do with training, has nothing to do with safety. They're just illusory exemptions to prevent people from being able to purchase firearms.
Folks, the reason why this case is so important is because keep in mind, this is about all civil rights, all the time, for all people, right? So when we start saying we're going to start carving out civil rights for certain people and say, okay, well, you don't get these civil rights. You've done nothing wrong. You're a law-abiding citizen, a law-abiding adult, but you don't get these rights because, well, we don't like those rights. Or here's the other thing. We don't like you.
And that's the thing.
Or we don't trust you.
Mm-hmm. This law literally compares 18 to 20-year-olds as equivalent to the mentally ill or convicted felons. It treats them the same way. And that's an absurd premise. It really is.
Well, it is. It is. And so now where's the case at right now?
So, yeah, we just recently refiled that preliminary injunction so that we moved to have a hearing to prohibit the law from being enforced until we get to go to trial later on. The briefing schedule on that is extended partially just to be cooperative and with the opposing party, but mostly because of the holiday season is just really tough in the courts to get the dates you need and want. So end of December we'll have the state's opposition to our motion, and we'll be filing our reply mid-January. Should be getting a decision soon after that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so folks, look, you guys get it. Look, this is about the civil rights of individual law-abiding citizens, adults, under the age of 21, but over the age of 18. Yeah. It is vitally important that we let folks know that, look, civil rights are not special rights for special people. Civil rights are for all people all of the time. And that we cannot, because the legislature, you could tell it's a whim, because first they had the law and then they decided they wanted to tweak the law and it hadn't even been in place. I mean, keep in mind, they started a while ago in order to put this state law in place, in order to pass this most recent change in the law. So they literally waited months, if that, months before they started making changes to the law, because they didn't need to see whether or not it actually worked. They don't care whether or not it works. They just want to know, does it make them feel good?
Exactly.
So, John, thank you for coming on the program. Folks, please support this effort, okay? Here's what you do. If you're watching this on Facebook, all you got to do is click the donate button. It's right there. If you are watching this on YouTube, then you need to follow the link in the description to this video, and that'll take you to Facebook where you can make a donation. It's that simple. It's that important. Folks, this is the time in which these cases, they don't fight themselves. And fighting and litigating these cases take a lot of time, and they take a lot of resources. And the only reason groups like the California Gun Rights Foundation are able to fight these cases on your behalf is because you help us. Is because you guys get behind it. You guys participate in the fight for our civil rights. Remember, this is a fight for our civil rights. We have got to use them or we will lose them. You guys take care, and we'll be back in a little bit.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.